A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Sarve Sharbali, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, feel privileged to welcome you all on behalf of Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering for AICT sponsored 2-week online faculty development program on fostering ethics, moral values, and character building in technical education from 10th December to 23rd December 2020, organized by Department of Mechatronics, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bengaluru. It's a great pleasure to introduce today's eminent personality, Dr. Mageshwaran Ranganathan, Director, Training and Placement, Global Academy of Technology, Bengaluru. We are very happy to have you, sir, as a resource person. I welcome you, sir, for this session. Sir is going to talk on the topic equipping 21st century workforce on campus, the role of facilitators. It's a great honor for me to introduce such an eminent personality. Professor Mageshwaran is currently working as a Director, Career Counseling, Training and Placement, Global Academy of Technology. Sir has 20 years of experience, 2 years in industry and 18 years in academics and research. He worked as HOD in the MCA department for 8 years at Reva University and Dr. AIT Bengaluru. His area of expertise are career counseling, training and placement, professional ethics and corporate standards, enterprise resource planning, design and implementation, agile software management, software engineering, and e-governance. Sir's awards, affiliations, and memberships are Academic Partnership Award from Tata Consultancy Services in 2014, Gratitude Award from Wipro in 2015 for initiating Wipro flagship Waze and Vista program, Best Corporate Academic License Award from EMC IBM in 2016. He is a life member of Indian Society for Technical Education, New Delhi, and he is a life member of IEEE. He is a life member of Computer Society of India, and he is a guest member of India IT HR Forum, and a life member of PMI, that is Project Management Institute, and PMBOK and APM Manifesto. Sir is a member of Project Management Center of Excellence in Infosys. He is the chair PC member. He is a BOS member of MCA and MSc department at Bangalore University. He is a approved guide and expert panel at Anna University, Chennai for MBA in systems project under technology management. Sir has published and presented overall 27 papers in reputed journals and conferences. With this brief introduction, once again I welcome you, sir, for this session. I request sir to take over the session, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sarvesh, for that introduction. It is my privilege to be part of this AICT-sponsored FDP on a very apt title, Fostering Ethics, Moral Values, Character Building in Technical Education, which I feel is in fact the bedrock of all the technical education that the country is pursuing forward. So I thank the management of SVC, the principal, my best friend, Dr. Suresha, and I also thank the head of the Department of Mechatronics, Dr. Vijayashree, Professor Ramya, and Professor Basuraj for the coordination. It is my privilege to be part of this program. Thanks for the invitation. And I look forward as we move forward in this title on equipping 21st century workforce on campus. As I present, So I request the participants to keenly follow it up. And if you have any concerns and questions, please post that under the chat box, wherein Mr. Baswaraj and Mr. Sarvesh would consolidate that. And finally, they would ask the question, and I would try to respond to the concerns and the questions. Sir, is my audio fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
You are audible.
I'll share the screen now.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
So equipping 21st century workforce on campus, the role of facilitators. So you and me are the facilitators. We have a very prominent role in equipping the 21st century workforce. As sometimes we as faculties, we underestimate our influence. We think that the moment we finish the class of 1 hour, we feel that our job is done. No, whatever we do in the classroom, whatever we do in the premises of the institute, we have to be conscious enough to know that this is going to build and equip the students that we come across so that they would have a bright future for the next 30 to 35 years of their career. So that's the greatest responsibility. As someone in the Sweden had said last week, it is not the edge of the government who are important now. It is not the businessmen who are important now. It is not the advocates who are important now. It is the teachers and the professors who are important in the present world scenario. Because it is this entity of people who will mold the 21st century workforce. If you want to see a better world tomorrow, the responsibility lies on the shoulders of the facilitators. So on that note, I'm very happy and pleased that the SVC have taken up this FDP, that too in this apt title, Fostering Ethical Values, which is the bedrock of the very existence of humankind. Today's session agenda, we would focus on 5 things. I would brief you about the pre-corona and post-corona. You might be wondering, why again, even in this session, you're speaking about corona? Because everywhere, if you just open up the channels, television channels, newspaper, everywhere it is corona. So we cannot deny the fact that it has become the prime topic of the world existence now. So we need to see that from a different perspective. So I would be briefly addressing the 2 eras that we would come across, pre-corona and post-corona world, and the job market scenario. See, as faculties and facilitators, we must know the job scenario. Unless we know the job scenarios very well, it is very difficult for us to connect with the students. So I would be dealing on that aspect as well. And then I will also share the expectations of the corporate world. What are the expectations of the corporate world? This again, it is not my information. This is taken from the CEOs forum, where the top CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies have come, and they have said that these are the skills that is required for the 21st century workforce. So I will be addressing that as well. Then briefly, I'll be telling you the gap that exists between the academic approaches and the standards outside, and then the expectations from the facilitators. You and I are facilitators. What is that we can do to the extent of equipping the 21st century workforce during the students stay in the campus for 4 years of their engineering program? This is a very interesting quote, which I love. I think many of you would have seen that in the net, and some of the institutions also has that in some of their prominent places. So this is King, Martin Luther King. He said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So when everything is going fine, what I do, where I stand, what actions I take doesn't matter. But when things are not going the way we expect it to happen, when we are facing challenges, temptation, when we are fighting for the survival of the fittest, that is when the qualities of ethical, moral values, and spiritual values come into the force. So that's the best quote that I have liked from the Martin Luther King. He has given a lot of quotes and addressed a lot of sermons, but among all, and this is what is very close to my heart. And there is another saying which says, "Do the right thing when no one is looking." That is ethic. That is the ethic of the highest standard. Ethical values at the highest standard. We call that as a spiritual discipline. So when nobody is seeing me, when nobody is observing me, how I behave. See, now I know that we are online and you are seeing me. Even though I might be wrong, I might be a bad guy because people are observing me, I will pretend as if I am good. So that is not moral values and that is not upholding of ethics. When nobody is observing me, when nobody is seeing me, how I behave, what I think, what I see, what I pursue, what I plan, this is going to determine how mature I am. And if I'm good in that, I would have gone high in the spiritual maturity. So, good moral, ethical values lead us to the spiritual highness. That is the ultimate goal of every human being. As I said, pre-corona and post-corona, the world is divided into two eras now. Pre-corona era and post-corona era. Still, we have not moved to the post-corona era. We are living in the corona era. We are yet to formalize the vaccines, and God willing, probably in the next 2 to 3 months, things would emerge, and we would triumph over this COVID-19. And this corona has changed the world. It has disrupted the world to such an extent that every aspect of our life is impacted and influenced by this coronavirus. So if I say that what I have planned last year holds good this year, no, I am very sorry. All my plans, my strategies which I have made last year will not work now in the corona era. So we need to change, revamp all our priorities, passions, strategies. Only then we can survive during this post-corona world. Otherwise, it is very difficult. We cannot cope with the changing demands of the world in the post-corona world, and we will succumb to this great challenges posed by this COVID-19. 5 important realistic concepts during this corona period. There are many things that has happened. Just briefly, this information I have taken it from the report that is available in the website of the United Nations and also in the United Nations subcommittee on higher education. So this 5 important realistic concepts are: the first reality we need to accept is the world has changed now, or in fact the world is changing now. It is an ongoing process. So if I planned something for my life last year, and if I want to implement now in its totality, no, it will not be possible because the world has changed. Things of this world have changed. So we need to be aware that all my plans, strategies which I have made earlier will never be relevant now. It requires a new revamped strategy and plan to make sense in the post-corona scenario. The second realistic concept is the nature has given an ego slap on every human being. You and me. We should not blame the youngsters. The students are not to be blamed. It is the people like you and me, the facilitators, the faculties, and our seniors, our forefathers. So we have taken the nature for granted, and we have played with it, and we went against the natures. And now it is the turn for the nature to remind us of the fact that things are not well, and it is a ego slap. So the sooner we realize this and fall in tune with the nature, the better would be our lifestyle. Otherwise, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, what we are facing, would be just the first of the many viruses and the dangers that we will be facing in this world. The third realistic concept is in the corona era, adaptation is the key. How well I change, how well I'm flexible to sync with the new changes that is happening. To that extent, the success of a person's life will be determined. Adaptation is the key because these values we have to impart to our students also. Because most of us, we are already into 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years into our careers. So next 5, 10 years, we are done with our careers. But the students you and I interact with, they have a long career. They have to make a living for the next 35 to 40 years. So we have to teach them in the campus the ability to adapt oneself. So adaptation is the key. How well we adapt, accept the changes, and move forward. The fourth realistic concept is the survival of the quickest. I would have seen the old saying, which you and I would have used, our teachers would have said, our parents would have said, survival of the fittest. Now that proverb is no more valid. Now it is the survival of the quickest. If you're quick, you're fit. That is the understanding. So how well you adapt quickly to the changing scenario. So that will determine whether you will survive during the challenging times. All of us are going through challenges. We never expected last year, if you would have asked, if somebody would have asked all of us last year by this time, will you be attending the online FDP conducted by SVC in the month of December? We would have said, no, online, no, we will not attend. We will not assure. But now that has become a reality. If last year I would have asked the faculties, will you handle the classes online without students coming to the campus? We would have said, no, no chance. But now that has become a part of our lifestyle now. So survival of the quickest. So I have to appreciate the faculty members that how quickly they have adapted to the changing scenarios all across the institutions, all across the world, especially in the engineering education in India. We have to appreciate all the faculties that how quickly, by taking risks, some of the faculties, they have adapted to this, the online mode of teaching. So hats off to all of you. And so to what extent the students are following, that is a different story, because we cannot replace the offline classroom class with the online. Now that would become an order of the day in the days to come, but still, for that to happen, both the sides, they should sync. The students also should cooperate, and we as faculty should also address the concerns of the students. So survival of the quickest, that is the order of the day, the fourth realistic concept. The fifth one is forced entrepreneurship. The United Nations report had given that in the 3 months from June to September, 13% increase in the entrepreneurship ventures of people across the world. People started their own business, because when we are thinking that the business are dying because of this coronavirus, during this period, there was a 13% increase. People who are part of the well-structured working mechanism, people who are working as vice presidents of various companies, people who are working as professors of institute, they came out and they started their business on their own, making use of the opportunities created by this corona. So we would see that increase to happen in the days to come. That since the job market is very challenging, we would see most entrepreneurship coming up from the campuses as well. Things that changed completely in the world now, after the COVID-19 have entered this world and disrupted every smooth flow of things across the world. These are the things that have changed completely in the world. Priorities have changed. I never imagined in the month of April first week, I was standing in a queue in front of a mall to buy a loaf of bread. I never imagined in my lifetime that I'll be standing in a queue for 20 minutes to buy a loaf of bread. Things have changed, priorities have changed, world has changed. So once the priorities have changed, the passions have changed. And once the passions have changed, the very purpose of life is changed. So our purpose, priority, and passions have changed now. So this is going to have an influence, maybe probably for the next 18 months to 2 years time. And the work style have completely changed. Work from home had become a new order. The software engineers and some of the HR managers and the technical heads that I'm interacting with, I interacted with them 2 months back through the online platform. And most of these technical heads of various companies, they were attending this online session from the respective homes. But I attended this from the college. I think we all have started coming from the month of June, July. And so when they saw me in the formal dress, the most of the technical heads and HR, they said, "Hey, you are enjoying life. We have not worn the formal dress for last 7 months. We were in our Bermudas and t-shirts working from home." So initially it was a good approach to work from home, and now almost all the HRs and the technical heads, they got frustrated. But that is the new order of the day now. Work style have changed. Business models are changing. As I told you in the beginning, if I have a plan which I made last year and try to implement now, it will not work. So after the COVID-19 have creeped into this world, all business strategies and business models are changing. Education has changed the way we see education now and in the future. It has gone through a rapid sea change, and the internet usage has increased. Everybody have access to this internet, increased access to internet after this COVID-19. School kids are attending online classes and teachers are taking online classes. You need internet. And the employees are working from home. They need internet usage. So internet usage has increased and it will continue to rapidly increase in the days to come. And health consciousness among people have increased. We have become very hygienic and health conscious. This COVID that is the plus point of this COVID-19. And social interaction was restricted. We don't go to marriages, to visit parties as we used to do early. That has been restricted. Social interaction is restricted. And food and entertainment industry has been impacted so much. So things have changed. These are a few of the things that have changed completely in the world during the COVID-19. Let me give you a brief on the 10 industries that is severely affected by this COVID-19. I'm not telling that these are the only 10 industries. There are many industries, but 10 major industries or this. The job market industry has impacted. We have seen thousands of people being laid off in the last 6 months, which is very the sad part. And the retail industry is affected negatively. Travel and tourism, along with hospitality, is not doing well. The entertainment industry is complete zero. Day before yesterday, you would have seen it has come in the Indian Express that almost all 5-star and 7-star hotels in metropolitan cities of India, they have a severe financial problem. So these 5-star hotels that were out there to cater to the needs of the affluent class have not seen any visitors, no patrons were entering these hotels, big hotels. And so to maintain the premises of the hotel, it has become a tough because electricity, water, sanitation, cleanliness, garden maintenance, all this requires money. So entertainment industry has been impacted very highly. logistics, transport, oil and gas very much impacted. Construction, now it has resumed. In the last 2 months, it is increasing. Manufacturing and automotive industry, very, very badly affected. Hope that the first quarter of the next financial year, that is what the industry pundits are telling, that it would improve. The manufacturing sector, especially in the automotive industry, will come up. And the education and sports has impacted a lot. We have seen the Olympics that was supposed to held in Japan has been postponed, and the education, you all know how much of impact. Children are not going to schools, the youths are not coming to campus. But the very peculiar aspect of this is our students who are studying engineering, they are not coming to college. Apart from coming to college, they are going everywhere. We have checked randomly with the parents, are your children at home? They say that no, they were at home till June and mid of July. After that, they are not at home. They are roaming, they are out everywhere, but not attending the campus. So probably in the next 3 to 4 months, we expect that things would improve. And the real estate is being hugely impacted negatively through this COVID-19, and the financial investment industry as well. And when that is the bad news, there are also good news. During this COVID-19, there are some winning industries. There are some industries that have made a huge profit during this. Which are these industries? Digital product industries. Because people went online to buy, and the online products, the products that are sold online have been the huge need of the people, and people started buying it. And digital products industry were winning, healthcare industry were winning, alternate medicine is again on the rise, mental health and counseling. People started going for the counseling and mental health stability check, and that industry has grown. Alternate energy industry have grown, insurance industry have grown, edutech and online gaming has grown rapidly. Edutech, because as you know, this the Byju's and other platforms, they are rapidly growing because children are restricted at home, and the only way that the parents could engage them is to ensure that they have a very good edutech application so that students can attend and learn by themselves. That's one of the good things. Students can learn, self-learning can be encouraged. And affiliate marketing has increased a lot because affiliate marketing means it is someone's product, I buy it and write a review online, and people like it and they buy it. So every time a new person buys after seeing my review, I get paid for it. So that industry is increasing. And from the technology front, we have strong data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, internet for things. Now it is no more internet of things. Internet of things has become obsolete. Now it is internet for things. So you can Google and find out the difference between IoT and I4T, cyber security, enterprise technologies, edutech softwares, heavy automation, healthcare technologies, and smart cities technologies. These are the winning industry. Let me present to you some of the hard facts. So why I call this as a hard fact? Because it reflects directly to our profession. So our role as a facilitators, we need to understand what would be our influence on the students by seeing these facts from the trusted desk. Only around 29 to 31% of youths in India within the age group of 18 to 23 years enroll for higher education. Very, very low. That is why the government has come out with this new national education policy 2020 that has a strong mandate to give autonomy to more institutions, more universities should come, so that the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education sector must increase. And the saddest part is, among them, among the 21 to 31% of youths in India who enroll for higher education, among them, only 10 to 12% have access to quality education. That is very, very challenging. So you and I are part of the quality education. Quality education is one where the basic needs are met to pursue a decent education program. For example, good classroom, good labs, good access to the libraries on the online materials, good faculties, good process, examination, evaluation process. So we are part of this quality education. So in our country, only 10 to 12% of students who are enrolled for higher education have access to quality education. So it is your responsibility and my responsibility to ensure that we equip the students with the moral and ethical values along with the domain skills so that they will make successful careers of their life for the next 30 to 35 years. So this information is from MHRD gross enrollment ratio on higher education published by NITI Aayog in 2019. There's some more facts from the trusted desk. It's all available in the public domain. It is just a reminder for us. Approximately 15 lakhs engineering graduates pass out every year in India, of which only 17 to 25% are employable within 6 months after graduation. This is inclusive of campus placements. Just imagine, 15 lakh engineering graduates are passing out of which only 17 to 25% are employable in the first 6 months after graduation. This percentage is inclusive of the campus placements. But in cities like Bangalore and the other metropolitan cities, the placement percentage is much higher. It is around 30 to 35% or employable during normal economic growth period. So that is, I think, in cities like Bangalore, we have access to many of the companies and students can directly approach many of the companies. So there are a lot of avenues and opportunities here. But if you go high north, at the top north, especially if you go to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, the placement percentage in the engineering education is very, very minimal. It's better not to mention it. In some of the states, it is less than 3%, very, very disturbing. And the rest 15 to 20% are employable between 7 to 18 months after graduation. So these are students who have just relaxed during their 4 years of course in the college. And after coming out, they realize that things are not happening for them. They're not getting placed. So they get trained in some of the latest technologies and they get the job anywhere from 7 to 18 months after the graduation. But the most disturbing part is the rest 40 to 44% are unemployable even after 2 years of the graduation. See where the outcome of the campus, the students who are passing out of the campus, 40 to 44% are unemployable even after 2 years of the graduation. But here again, when we take the cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, Mumbai, things are different. The unemployment ratio is less than 23%. But this is the national scenario. So 40 to 45% are unemployable even after 2 years of the graduation. So this is where the role of the facilitators come. See, we need to educate them. We need to challenge them to the extent that they make a strong determination that this is my career path. I will choose this. I will make a career on this. So it is not that all should get into the same type of industry. Different industries, we need to train people for different industries. See, 10 to 12% of your students, you can train them and equip them to such an extent that they can directly go to the product companies. And the rest 30 to 35%, you can train them so that they can go to the services companies. And the another 15 to 20%, you can train them so that they can go as consultants and in the maintenance and the support systems. And some you have to train them to become entrepreneurs. Some we have to train them so that they do different dimensions of business. For example, uh, an engineering student going and starting a poultry business. It has happened. Three of the students from UEC 3 years back, they started the poultry business in near Whitefield. So they are from electronics and few are from computer science. So these guys not taking up the IT job, but starting the business, that is possible. So we need to encourage students while they are in the campus for 4 years. That is the greatest service that we do to this country. Train the student, equip them, motivate them, challenge them while they are with us in this 4 years period. I think that 4 years is a quite a long period. It's a good time for us to transform any individual. And we need to remember that companies are looking for proactive, energetic, diligent, well-rounded personalities who have indisputable integrity and ethical values propagated by the institute. See, as faculties, you and I are evaluated through our students. How our students behave, what kind of integrity they hold on to, what kind of ethical values they practice. So based on that, you and I are evaluated, isn't it? As some of the world proverbs, Indian proverbs says that you see a child and his or her attitudes and activities, then you can judge their parents' attitude and activity. So it is like that. A student who are passing out of the campuses, if the industry sees the type of integrity and the ethical values they hold on, so they would evaluate the institute. So when I say the evaluate institute, it is the faculties like you and me that the industry would evaluate. So we have a great role to play in equipping the students with a moral, ethical, and the values of integrity. Recruiters expect students to be totally updated on current national and world developments. This I earnestly request all the faculties that during our classroom session for maybe 50 minutes or 60 minutes, at least 10 minutes of time should be spent on discussing some of the burning things that is happening around us in the world. You see, today in our country, for the last fortnight, the farmers are protesting. Whether the protest is right or wrong, we are not here to debate. But we need to discuss that in the classroom. Students have to come up and open up their mind and express their views. The different articles that has been implemented in our country or elsewhere. So why things are still uncertain even after the US election has ended. So this has to be debated in the classroom. Even if you are taking online classes, just open up the 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes or last 10 minutes for students to discuss. Let them come out with their own views. See, this is how we need to encourage them so that they will have the world view in their mind. Otherwise, only textbook, only they study for the sake of examination, only they prepare only for the placements, that will not help them. That will not give a strong career to them. Since I am from the training and placement, I felt it is the responsibility on my part to give these 3 points. The actual placements would depend on these 3 things: the general economic and industry scenario. So faculties and students must discuss the general economic and industry scenario in our country, in our state, and across the world. Because students should know which country's economy is growing. If Canada's economy is growing, our students can prepare. Or let me go and explore for the job opportunities in Canada or the companies managed by the Canadians. Or if the economy is growing well in Australia, see, we are preparing the workforce for the global platform. What we do, we only focus on the local market. We tell us students that, oh, you do this, you will get into this company, Infosys, TCS, Accenture. I'm not against this companies. I'm not against students opting for this. I'm not against faculty is encouraging to students to join these companies. But we need to give the world view to the students because they are the world products now. They have to make a living for the next 35 to 40 years. So as faculties, it is our responsibility to open up the world platform to them. So discuss the general economy and industry scenario around and the academic and non-academic competencies, including domain skills, soft skills, and life skills developed by each student. So when I say life skills, that is where our moral, ethical values comes in. So student must have a complete balance of domain skills, soft skills, and life skills, so that they become a grounded personalities. And for such students, to make a career in this competitive world should never be a problem. And third, very importantly, is the cultural fit of each student with regard to a company as determined by the recruiters visiting the campus. Cultural fit is very important because every industry has its own culture. When I say culture, every industry practices certain corporate standards, professional values, moral values, ethical values. So a student must fit into that culture of the organization. Only then he or she would be mapped to the requirement of such organizations. Otherwise, if I say that I am technically strong, I can crack any interview of any company. Okay, you can crack, I can crack. But when it comes to HR round, they will check the cultural fit, cultural mapping of a person to the organization. There I will fail if I do not have a strong moral, ethical values. And professional ethics, very special, engineering professional ethics. So these are the three uh, entities based on which the placement should depend. This is a very important slide. Placement trends and scenarios. For the last 3 years, this is the scenario in our country. This is from the Global HR India Forum. Sector-wise, the employment percentage, the last 3 years, and most of the top HR say that this same trend will continue for the next 2 years. And I personally feel if it continues in the similar way for the next 2 years, I'll be more than happy. Because things, if we see as it is happening, the decline in the GDP and other things, even to reach this target, I feel it is difficult. But as most of the HR feel, if we continue in this state for the next 2 years, that would be a good thing for us. Of every 100 job that has been created in India in the last 3 years, only 5% of that is a product-based job. I think all of us know what is a product-based job. So these are the companies that work on the product. So they don't do just the service. The R&D is very strong. They develop products and they supply products to others. So product company, only 5% job is generated in the last 3 years. And information technology and information technology enabled services, 42%. So that is where we have the campus placements in our institutes. Almost 90% of the companies visiting the campus fall under this category. All our esteemed recruiting partners like Infosys, TCS, Accenture, Capgemini, Cognizant, Wipro, so all of them fall under this category. So they generate 42% of employment. And the third sector is knowledge process outsourcing and business process outsourcing. They have generated 30% of jobs. And finance and allied companies, only 3%. General management, 4%. Marketing and consultancy, 16%. So this is the job scenario in India for the last 3 years. And as most of the prominent HR say, it will continue for the next 2 years. So now, as facilitators and faculties, you and I have to decide where I want to target my students, where I want to channelize my students, to which sector. What percentage of students, my students, I have to channelize towards product companies? What percentage of our students I have to channelize towards IT and IT-enabled services? To what percentage of students I have to channel them towards general management, marketing and consultancy, you and I have to decide. So I request the facilitators to have a profiling of the students. To have a profiling of the students, you know the caliber of a student. So based on the student's caliber, you can help them, that you can identify, for example, 10% of your student, the brilliant students, top 10%, and you train them from the first year onwards so that they are well focused towards the product companies. And then the next 30 to 40% of students, you train them towards IT and IT enabled services, because this is the job scenario that is been happening and that will stay for some time. So this is the bedrock upon which we need to plan our placement activities. So it is my earnest request. You can also share this information to students. You can tell that this is the market scenario in India. And you ask the students, to which sector you want to get in? You want to get into product? So the requirements, the criteria, the eligibility issues are different. And if you want to get into IT and IT enabled services, the criteria to get in there is different. So you give the choice to students. Let them choose to which sector they want to enter, because their responsibility is also very important. It is not only the management, the college, the facilitators. Students have to equally cooperate with us. So if a student says that he is very average, he is not technically sound, but he says that, yeah, I want to get into product company, that will not happen. Because companies are not recruiting based on the marks that a candidate scores. Companies recruit the candidates based on their competencies. So if a candidate has the competency towards product company, it is our responsibility to channelize him or her towards that. And if the candidate is capable of getting into product company, but if we are pushing them to the other stream, then we are doing injustice. So here we need to do a very scientific, structured way of student profiling so that we categorize students into different sectors and train them accordingly. The major components of the placement process moving ahead, when the companies hire, these are the major components that they focus on to select a candidate. So as facilitators, you and I should be aware of the various processes involved so that during our interaction with students, we can train them on these areas. The first thing is online aptitude test. Any company that visits the campus, or most of the companies are doing virtually now, the first process is aptitude, quant and logical reasoning, including verbal. So we need to train our students on this first, because this is the filtering mechanism. And this aptitude quant test is only done in countries like India. So if we go to the European countries and the US, there is no aptitude. It's direct interview, technical, and they close technical and HR. It is countries like India, Bangladesh, Philippines, especially South Asian countries, we move forward with this aptitude test. So you and I should be aware, the first process that is involved in any placement is the company is testing the candidate's aptitude. And the second is, as most company do, group discussion, where they want to see how the student talks, to what level of maturity he or she talks, and what level of ethical and integrity a candidate holds on while interacting with others. A lot of things, most of the HRs, when they come, I used to ask them, why you do this group discussion? What is the outcome of that? They say, if we allow a student to speak for 2 minutes, that is enough. We can gauge where the student stands. So instead of doing this, if we just interact with the student one-to-one, even for 40 minutes or 1 hour, we cannot gauge them where they stand. But as part of the group discussion, allow a candidate to freely to speak for 2 minutes, then we can evaluate where he or she stands. So in the institutions, we need to encourage students to form different groups and give them some topic, let them start discussing on that. Let them first open up their mind. Don't focus more on the language. Even if the language is very worst, initially it will be like that, slowly they will improve. So we have to encourage students to open up their mind and speak freely. So this we need to do, not only from the placement perspective, as part of the learning perspective. So students, some topics you give it to them, form a group and give it to them, tell them that you have to learn together as a group. So each one will pick some subtopics, they will discuss, deliberate on that. So that is how learning can happen as well. And then the technical interview. Technical interview, you know, the domain skills are very important. So it is the responsibility of each one of the faculties and the departments to ensure that their students are technically strong in their respective domains. And then the personal interview, HR interview, that is where a candidate's cultural fit, that is where a candidate's professional ethics, that is where a candidate's integrity plays a very important role. So we have to train the students on these things. It is good that the institution like SVC have come out with such a apt title for the FDP. We should also take the outcome of this FDP to the students, because ultimately, whatever we do as faculties, it has to reach them, because they are our product. It is they who go out of the campus and become ambassadors to our institute. So the best outcomes of this FDP should reach the students. And most of the companies these days, they have come out with this new approach known as Teach Back. HP is following this approach, and I heard that IBM will also in the near future will follow this approach. Teach Back means a candidate will be asked to listen to someone for 30 minutes, or candidate will be asked to see a video for 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And after that, the candidate will be asked to speak on what he or she understood from the presentation that they have witnessed. Somebody taught me, I listened. After having listened, it is my turn to teach back. I have to tell what I've understood. So in this, the companies will evaluate whether the candidate has the caliber to understand the key part of the presentation. See, always there are few things. There are some prominent topics that are addressed and the sub-prominent topic that are addressed. Whether the candidate is picking up the prominent topic or the candidate is satisfied with the substandard topic. So companies are out there to evaluate on that. So in the classroom, you can exercise this practice. You can ask the student, after listening to your lecture for 30 or 40 minutes, just ask a student, openly you can tell, can anyone just summarize everything that we have discussed in just 5 minutes? So this practices we need to implement, because companies are following this approach. Then the other new model of selection process is just a minute. We call it as JAM, where a candidate is given just 1 minute to speak. They can speak on any topic. They can speak on the subject, they can speak on the nature, they can speak about themselves, they can speak on the company. It is up to a candidate. A candidate can speak on anything for just 1 minute. So during this 1 minute, companies are able to evaluate whether this candidate is equipped to meet the requirement of our company or not. As I told you earlier, in the group discussion, when I discussed the group discussion, I said, just listen to candidate for 2 to 3 minutes. Then you can evaluate whether he will fit into your organization, what is his thought process, how he interprets, how he articulates what he thinks. So all these things can be evaluated even in just a minute, where a candidate is given just 1 minute to market himself or herself. So this exercise is just a gaming exercise. You can do that in your institution. You can do that in your classrooms. Just give 1 minute of time and ask the student to tell something about the latest cricket series between India and Australia. Let them speak out. Essay writing and email writing, because as you know, that most of our students' writing is very, very pathetic. When sometimes I think your respected principal would be witness to this. If any students write a letter to principal, you can go and see those letters, because I go and see the letters students return to principal. How pathetic it is. Just requesting to issue a duplicate hall ticket. Okay, so how candidate writes. I am not going to name the institution from where I have seen that. I have seen that candidate is writing, kindly issue the fake hall ticket. A candidate had to make a request to issue a duplicate hall ticket, admission ticket to write the examination. He is writing fake. So he doesn't see any difference between duplicate and fake. So our candidates' writing ability is very, very poor. So we need to encourage, and companies are working on that, because tomorrow, if the client is in US and you want to send a report, you have to draft a mail on your own, you have to send it. The candidate have to send it. So those aspects we need to train them. And the personality profiling, as I told earlier, and the domain knowledge assessment. Students have to do, if I say that I am good in one particular technology, I should have done something, some project using that technology. So I should have something to demonstrate when my talents are tested. Usually, some of the faculties and students ask me, when actually the journey of a student starts towards the corporate world? I asked this question to most of the faculties and students, and some of them have said the journey starts when the student enters the final year. And some said no, when the journey starts after the second year after the engineering course. But the reality is, the moment a candidate steps into the portals of the higher education, the first day of his or her higher education journey, his or her journey towards the corporate world has started. Because students are not in the campus to spend 4 years just for that certificate, which we call it as a degree certificate. They are in the campus to be equipped by the skills, virtues, and traits that are required by the corporate world, so that these students who are passing out of our campus can make a career for next 30 to 35 years. So every facilitator must have this in our mind, that the students with whom we are interacting, these are the students whose journey towards the corporate world has started. It is my responsibility to ensure that I had value to him, I had value to her. So this is the greatest responsibility on the facilitators, because students are on the journey. They are in the campus not to spend the 4 years of time. They are here to be equipped to face the challenges of the world. So we have to address that issues while in the campus. Campus to corporate, that's the journey, because students are here in the campus not to stay there forever. They are on the journey towards the corporate world, and during their stay 4 years, we need to equip them. All skills, education, interview skills, job skills, training, everything that you want to provide, you are free to do that. And here I mentioned 30 to 70. When we take premier institutions, I did a few research, getting the input from the premier institutions, where the placement is 100%, and where 65% of students who are placed are satisfied with the nature of job that they had. I'm talking about premier institutes. I think I have considered only one institute in Bangalore, IISc, and across India, 9 institutes have been considered for this. And the feedback that I received is this. Students and faculties spend only 30% of the time, effort, and resources towards academics, 70% towards industry. What is required in the industry? What is useful for my students in the industry tomorrow? So the focus is only 30% academics and 70% towards industry. But in our institution like us, what we do, it is 90% academics. Everything a student does in the 4 years of engineering program, 93 to 95% is only towards academics. Only 4 to 5% we focus on industry. That too, what a privilege for us being operating in a city like Bangalore, where most of the industries are made their resident. So our students are not focusing on the industry. It is just 5% of time, effort, and energy spent to focus on industry, whereas 93 to 95% of time, resource, and energy is spent on academics, test, exams, scoring, degrees. No, this will not help. As long as we are following this 30-70 approach, we can never equip our students for the 21st century workforce. We will be failing. That is why sooner or later, institutes are advised to move towards autonomy so that you can reduce the burden on the students on academic perspective and encourage them to focus on the corporate expectations. There are a few comparisons with the students versus employee, because students become professionals. We think that once a candidate joins the company, he will become professional. No. While they are a student in the campus, then itself we have to inculcate the professional values in them. So as a students, we only enable them to focus on exams, scoring minimum marks. We expect them to attend all the classes. We ask them, even if you don't understand, somehow you memorize and write that in the examination so that you clear. And we focus only 25% of time in practicals, whereas the industry, it is 100% practical. So if I say I know Java, the industry person will give me a task and ask me to execute that, to do that in Java. So I have to do that. Only then he will be convinced that I have knowledge in Java. Not just because I have said that I have knowledge in Java, not because I have put that in the resume that I am good at Java. I have to act on it. I have to show, I should have that demonstrable skill. So there is a complete contrasting views between student and employees. So during the 4 years of student stay in the campus, we have to see them as the employees of the corporate world. So what skill is required? What talents, what virtues, what ethical values are required? So that we need to give. If you only see them as just students, then we have to focus only on marks, attendance, the assignments, which are nowhere relevant to the industry outside. These are some of the contrasting priorities that I have said. In academics, we focus on academia is now challenged with admission. You go to any institute, in the current scenario, everybody talks about admission. So we have three key players. We have one sector, we have academia, we have student, and we have industry. Academia is talking about admission. Students are talking about classes being boring classes. Industry says, I need skills from people. See the contrast. Academia says, I have given very good classroom and labs. Faculties and students have to make use of that. But the students are telling only notes matter. To clear the examination, just notes is enough for us. And what does the industry require? Industry requires core competencies in candidates. See the contrasting, there is no way matching. Academia focus on attendance. Students say that we are forced into the class. And the industry says we need people who have the ability to solve problems. Academia focus on tests, conducting tests and exams. Students are telling what is taught in the class has no industry relevance. If we ask the students why class is boring, why you're not attending the class, they say what is taught in the classroom has no industry relevance. Who said this? My senior said that. So students believe the seniors more than they believe in the faculties. That's the order of the day. But the industry's expectation is adaptability and self-learning. See the contrast again. Academia focuses on syllabus and portions completion. Students feel that the portions and syllabus are too much to do. It is too vast. And industry says we need smart work culture. Academia focus on results and degree. Students say that we are seeing fun outside academics. Academic is no more interesting, and we see a lot of entertainment and enjoyment outside the academics, not as part of the academics. Whereas the industry's requirement is we need people with creative and design thinking abilities. Academia focuses on placement. At the end, we want a good number of students to be placed. But the student says that industry focus in final SEM. So anyhow, it is a 4 year course. We will think of placement and getting trained for the placement when we come to the final year. Until then, we just want to relax. So these are the contrasting priorities. We need to break this, and we have to align towards the expectations of the industry. So I'm coming to an important slide now. Even if you have not understood, those of you who have joined late, if you're attending this session live now, you're at the right time, because this is the important takeaway of my presentation. CEOs, Chief Executive Officers of top Fortune 500 companies have assembled in Chicago a few years back, and the mandate given to the CEOs from various HRs across the world is this: tell what career qualities are required from the students who are passing out of the campuses, so that they would have a successful career for the next 30 to 35 years. So the question, I hope that you have understood it. It is what career qualities a student must have or a candidate must have, so that next 30 to 35 years he or she will have a successful corporate journey. It is not just getting placed this year when the students are in the final year. Next 30 to 35 years. So the CEOs deliberated for 2 days. Fortune 500 companies, CEOs have deliberated. And at the end of that, many HRs were expecting that a big report will be given so that they would interpret that and submit to various agencies. But at the end of two days of deliberation, the HRs have given just one A4 sheet. In that, only 5 points. These are the 5 qualities anyone should have in the present scenario to make a successful career in the 21st century. So when I say it is for everybody, it includes faculties, facilitators like you and me as well, because we are also part of the 21st century workforce. So these are exactly the words given by the CEOs. I am projecting that on the screen, and we have a lot of things to learn from this. Number 1, the first quality, career quality, is ability to compete and excel. Sorry. All of us have the desire to excel in life. All of us have the desire to succeed in life. But life is not so easy. Life outside your home, life outside your comfort zone is very competitive. So if we don't train our students to compete and excel, they would be found wanting when they go outside. If we tell our students that life is very comfortable, life is very easy, and they have been groomed in such a way, and one day after 4 years of engineering, they just go out and see the outside world, and they see that everything, there is a competition. So we have to train the students while they are in the campus that yes, they should have a desire to excel in life, but before that, they have to compete. See, as you would have seen, many of us have seen, when the companies come to campus for the placements, a morning there are how many students? Okay, I will give my own example. We had one company coming, we had around 350 students in the morning, and after the aptitude test, it's only 110 students. And after the technical round, it is only 65 students. And after the HR round, it is only 37 students. So morning it was 300 plus, but at the end of the day, it is only 37 who got the offer. So what does it tell us? It tells us there is a competition everywhere. If you and I have to excel in life, first we must know to compete well. So while competing, we should not compromise on moral and ethical values. That is the title of your the FDP also. So what we think, since it is a competition by eco or crook, somehow we will win. No. As the first slide I put of Martin Luther King, he says that your ethical and moral values that you're holding doesn't come to surface when you're going through easy life, but when you're under challenge, when you're tempted, when you're facing issues. So how well you cope with that, that would determine whether you have a strong ethical and professional values and ethics. So ability to compete and excel is the first quality that is expected from the students and equally expected from us as well. It is not, again, my word, it is exactly the words used by the CEOs. The second point, they said one must have a champion's mindset. So who are champions? Champions are those who do not have who have this never give up attitude. They don't give up. Even if they win, they keep on winning. They don't give up practicing. Most of us know that since it is for the FDP and faculties or the host and the guest, let me tell that all of us know about Carl Lewis, the fastest man on earth in 80s. So he had won so many gold and world championship. After becoming the world champion for the 4 successive times, the reporters have gone to see him. So they went to his apartment. They said, someone said that no, he's gone for practice. And these paper reporters, they just figured it out where he would be practicing. And they saw him 3.5 hours practicing rigorously early morning. After the practice, the reporters asked him, Carl, you have been the world champion for 4 successive times, not once, 4 successive times. But still you practice, whom do you want to beat? You have competed with the best in the world and you have won against all of them. You are a great champion. But why you are practicing? You know what Carl said? He said, I am practicing not to outsmart someone, but I am practicing to outsmart myself. What achievement I did till yesterday belongs to day before yesterday's practice. And what achievement that I want to do tomorrow, it depends on today's practice. So that is the champion's mindset. So just because I got a job, I should not settle down. Just because you have a secure job, you cannot settle down. We need to keep updating. Never give up attitude. So start acquiring the skills. So adorn skills. So I like the word adornment. Adornment means getting decorated with the skills. That's the greatest beauty. At no point of time we should say that, no, I have all the skills required for the current job, I'm comfortable, fine. No, we do not know how the things may change after a few months. So the more quality skills that you acquire, that will give a great advantage for you. So you and I must have the champion's mindset. And once, as a facilitator, you and I have this champion's mindset, we can incorporate that to our students as well. Ability to think ahead of times. Again, I want to remind you that these are the words of the CEOs of top Fortune 500 companies. They say that if someone wants to make a successful career for the next 30 to 35 years, the third quality is ability to think ahead of times. If I am updated till today, then I will have a desire to think ahead of times. The problem with most of our students and most of us is we are not able to grasp what has happened in the past, and so we are confused in the present, and that is blocking us to think ahead of times. So we need to work on this. If I want to foresee what technologies will come up in future, what opportunities are lying ahead, if I want to see that, anticipate that, first I should have the updated skill and knowledge with me. So this we need to inculcate among the students. So we have to tell them, give them all the necessary skills so that their foundations are strong. Once the foundations are strong, they will have the ability to think ahead of times. Self-discipline. I was wondering why CEOs have to use this word self-discipline. These are the words used by faculties, school teachers. But this top CEOs have said self-discipline because they've understood a person who's self-disciplined will be a person who's self-motivated. And a self-motivated person is a one who will not blame others for his or her failure, but he or she will blame themselves. The moment I blame myself for my failure, I will come to a realization where I will decide that it is me who is responsible for the success of my life. It is not others. How many times we tell this, isn't it? Why are you in this stage? Or because of that person. He pulled me here and today I'm suffering. No, we should not put the blame on others. This important virtue we have to teach our students. You know what students do that, isn't it? In the interview they ask some question on technical interview round, and students say that no, it was not taught to us. See, immediately they're transferring the blame, and people with that quality cannot succeed in life. One need to be self-disciplined, self-motivated, take the responsibility, take the blame. And lastly, integrity, a very important ethical and moral virtue, integrity, very apt to the title. That is why I've chosen this particular information by the CEOs. Integrity. You'll be wondering, isn't it? When I first saw this report, I was wondering, because when the CEOs are releasing the career qualities, I thought they would be releasing something on technologies. Oh, we need one need to have this technologies, skills in this technology, this mathematical skill, scientific skill. But see, in all these 5 elements, there is no attachment of technology, no science, nothing. It is all human. It is all in the mindset of a person. Integrity. See how well I behave when no one is seeing me, when no one is observing me. That will determine whether I am a person of integrity or not. I will give just one example. We all know that Sundar Pichai is a CEO. And why he was made CEO of this great world-renowned company. The people who have worked with him, they say that he is not so technically strong. There are many people who are more technically strong than him. But why he was chosen to be the chief executive officer of this world-renowned company? The reason being, when 7 years after his work in that company, Sundar have gone to give a presentation to the client. During the presentation is for just 10 minutes. 5 slides, 10 minutes. You might be wondering how many slides you have, when are we going to finish it? So I'll finish it off within the time. But this great people always use minimum information to convey. So Sundar Pichai was having just 5 slides and 10 minutes of presentation. After the presentation, they had a small get-together where everyone is having tea. During that tea break, someone from the client came to Sundar and said, "Can you share that slides to me?" And Sundar said, okay, take it. It is just a few slides I have prepared overnight. You can take it. So after receiving that, the same person came to Sundar and said, for this, we will pay you $7 million. Then he was astonished. What is there is no technical things involved in my presentation. Why this person have to pay $7 million? So immediately Sundar called his company. In his company, they had a division known as ethics department. So he said that there is someone who's trying to instigate me. There is someone who's tempting me to bribe. You can investigate. Within 14 days, everything has been investigated, and it is proved that these people who tried to bribe Sundar Pichai, they wanted to float a new company, and they want to pull Sundar Pichai into that company. And as a first thing to give it to him, they wanted to bribe him. So when the board met to discuss who should be the CEO of this company, three board members have said, because of this integrity and ethical qualities of Sundar Pichai, we have to choose him as the CEO of Google. It is not because of his technical skill. It is because of his integrity. So you and I, same thing with the students. If we hold on to integrity, it will give a bright future for us. Maybe we may not enjoy the temporary benefits, but in the days to come, because I'm sure that all those who hold on to the moral, ethical, spiritual values as part of the integrity, they will never be left alone. They will have a great future. So that is the truth that we need to inculcate in our own lives, and we need to impart that to our students as well. Moving on, it's a war of the talents everywhere. If the students go out, as I said, everywhere there is a competition. The moment we think there is a competition, usually students, what they do, they want to win. Anyhow, they want to win, even by compromising on certain things. But that is when we need to train them to such an extent that without compromising on the moral and ethical values, still students can compete, participate in the war, and come out successfully. So some of the competencies expected by the employers: communication should be strong, teamwork, problem solving abilities should be there. It is not only problem solving abilities, we should train the students to identify the problems. See, for us to solve the problem, first one has to identify it. Who will identify the problem? If all of us are here to solve problems, so who's there to identify the problem? There must be someone. But most of the times, people have said it is the one who identifies the problem who will give a solution to the problem. So it is our responsibility to equip the students not only with the problem solving abilities, but with problem identifying abilities. They need to question the existing traditional systems. Only then new ideas will emerge. We need to train our students on general awareness, creativity, initiative and self-reliance, balanced personality, decision making, and resource management. All these things are need of the hour, top 9 competencies that top 100 employers look for. This again is not mine. It is taken from Global HR Forum 2019 report. From the beginning, if you have keen, you should have heard that this word competencies I have used many times. But there is a misunderstanding on this term competencies. See, companies are hiring our students not based on their knowledge, not based on their skill, not based on their degree. Companies are hiring our students based on their competencies. What are competencies? Competencies are the complete package, a personality of a person. What does that personality possess? The personality has knowledge, skills, self-image, Values, when I say values, all your ethical values, moral values, spiritual values comes there. Habits and motives, all this put together in a package, what we call it as a competency in a person. So if a person want to succeed in life, whether it could be the faculties or the student, we need to have a strong competency, because people are out there to recruit us based on this. So all these days we were telling our students are recruited based on the skills. No, skill is just one part of the many expectations that the company has. But the complete package is knowledge, skills, self-image, values, habits, and motives. So this we need to understand. So as a facilitators, if we understand these things very clearly, it will be easy for us to address the students. Again, interview. We have to tell our students, as we know that many of our students fail miserably in interviews. We have to tell them that interview is not something great. Interview is just a meeting of two parties with a common objective. So the employer, the person who gives the job, he focuses on three things. What are they? Number one, can you do the job? That is what they want to assess, because the one who had come to recruit you or recruit the students, he has a job with him. She has a job with her. So now they want to check, can you do that job? So to justify that, they'll be checking your skills, abilities, and qualifications. Can you do the job? The answer to that question is they will evaluate your skills, abilities, and qualification. Second, will you do the job? So for that, they would give more questions. They will ask more questions to check your interest, attitude, and motivation. It is the interest, attitude, and motivation that will justify whether you will do that job or not. And third, how will you fit into the organization? As I told earlier, every organization has its own culture, ethical, moral values. So how does your personality, your competencies meet the organization's culture? So this is interview. So we need to simplify and tell our students, in interview, it is these three things that are focused. So all that domain questions, everything is part of this. So we need to understand the process as well, so that we can appropriately address this with our students. Excuse me. Again, it is expectations from the students. From the academic perspective, we expect a good academic record, sound fundamental knowledge, demonstrable skills. Having a skill and putting that in the CV is one thing, and when asked, one should be able to demonstrate the skill. So we need to foster that student have the demonstrable skills. As we have seen earlier, general awareness, innovative ideas, soft skills, resource management, extracurricular skills, and leadership qualities, and unquestionable integrity. So all these virtues, we have to train them during the 4 years period. So you would ask me, you are giving more responsibility to us. Is it possible for us to train the students with all these qualities in 4 years? Most of the things would have, of these things which we see here, would have been taught to students in the schools. But whether they have followed it or not, we doesn't know. But since they come to us, because we are in the very crucial stage of a candidate's life. After being with you for 4 years, he or she directly moves into the industry. So if he's not accepted by the industry, people will put blame on us. You have not given the good input to the industry. But again, we can put the blame on the school, telling that the student has not come with the much needed skill sets and the creativity. So the sooner we identify candidates and ask them to develop these creative skills, the better it will be. If we delay it, it would be a problem. So you can also convey this message to some of your friends who are working in schools as teachers. You have to tell them the responsibility of bringing in that creative skill in a child lies with the school teachers more than with the professors in the higher education spectrum. These are some of the technology-based initiatives which have told earlier itself. We need to equip students with the matching skills. So when every student will put in his or her resume that he or she is good in communication. But in the interviewer will ask whether you are presented, whether you're involved in some presentation during your stay in the college for the last 4 years. And most of the candidate will say no. So we have to encourage, because all the students are putting communication as a strength. We have to help the students to present at least 3 to 4 times during their 4 years of stay in the campus, so that they can confidently tell in the interview, yes, I presented this to so many students. Likewise, teamwork. We should encourage students to work in teams, give them the task and ask them to work, divide the work among the team members and ask them to execute it. So we have to try that, and we need to inculcate leadership skills. So give them the latest things that is happening around the world. So slowly they will develop the leadership skills. Leadership is all about taking responsibilities. So let us give that skill to them. And initiative. We should encourage students to take their own initiative. For example, the interview they will ask, what initiative you have taken on your own? And some students have said, during the flood, I took the initiative of fundraising, and we have given to different charities. So these things will help a candidate's candidature into the organization. And IT skills. The candidate can say that, yes, I have IT skill because I designed my own website. So gone are the days when students had their own email IDs. Having an email ID was a great thing. Now almost all the students must have their own websites where all their achievements, accomplishments are stated. So they can be part of the LinkedIn or other sites, or they can develop their own exclusive Facebook page or website. And commercial and general awareness. Students have to periodically read financial reports of various business organizations. So since it is the FDP, I am requesting the faculties that you demand these things from our students. So you ensure that students do 2 quality internships, 2 projects, 2 certifications, and 2 survey papers. I have met most of the technical heads and HRs of the company. If a candidate, a fresher, has these things in her or in his resume, it is easy to get the call for the interview. Just imagine if you don't have this, what will be there in the resume? It will be only the academic records. 10th, I have scored this much. 12th, engineering. So instead of just having the academic records, a candidate must have the 2 internship, what kind of internship they have done, 2 projects, 2 certifications, and 2 survey papers. These are some of the feedback from the recruiters. So I have collected feedback from excuse me, various companies, Dell EMC, Capgemini, Robert Bosch, Six Sigma, the all departments put together, where most of the companies will say that the communication should improve, and they say that the fundamental concepts, students are not confident in fundamental concepts. Forget about the latest emerging trends and technologies. The fundamental concepts itself, students are struggling. And many of the companies have said that creativity is missing in students. See, as a Six Sigma Labs have said, creativity, out-of-box thinking and design thinking should be encouraged from the early stage. So all these inputs are very important. Otherwise, we will be operating in silos. I will be operating in isolation, and students will be operating in their isolation, and the industry will be in different spectrum. So we need to get the input from the industry so that accordingly we can train our students. So the challenge before us is 30-70, as I have told earlier. So how we work on this, we doesn't know, because most of us are under the affiliated system, but somehow we have to come out of that clutches. Only 30% of time, effort, and energy is required for the managing the resources, academic resources. The next 70% should focus on the corporate world. And the other challenge is every company wants the best candidates, but the best candidates have their own plan. So we need to train the students as part of the career planning. We have to tell them clearly, because it has happened to us, it has happened to me. The best of the candidates were placed in the best of the companies, but after 2 months, the students whom we consider the best candidates, they come to us and tell that I'm going abroad for higher studies. So what will happen to the job offer that they got from the best of the companies? Next year, how can we go and talk to that company? So to avoid all these issues, while doing the student profiling, we have to very well coordinate with the students, telling that what are your career plans? If you want to go for higher studies, what are the areas that you want to go? So which are the companies that you can attend? Which are the companies you should not attend? Because that will bring a bad name to the institute. And the other challenge is gig economy. Gig is a slang word which is used for the temporary jobs, task-based jobs. Now the world economy is moving towards gig concept. Gig means I need not have to work for anybody full time. I work for one organization for 3 hours and I get paid to it. And the next 2 hours I work for another organization and accordingly get paid. And in the evening, 2 to 3 hours, I play musical instruments, I get paid for it. So in a day of working hours of 10 to 12 hours, I work for 3 different agencies, 3 different companies, and I get paid accordingly. At the end of the day, I'm not working for anybody. I'm a freelancer. So this concept is coming up very heavily in India. And my presumption is in the next 2 to 3 years, I think 25 to 30% of the job market will be in this sector. So we need to prepare our students for these challenges as well. So career counseling as part of the teachers, we have to ask students to be very clear in their career. For that to happen, they should know who they are, what they want to do in future, and then they should look outside what are the opportunities and alternatives available for me, and then they have to watch forward and make a decision. This again, in connection with what I have shared earlier, self-assessment. Student have to assess his or her skills, where they stand, and then explore the career. Once the career and your interest matches, then you make a decision. And then they have to identify which are the companies that they are eligible, and they can prepare for the same. Good news is national education policy have come out. For all those who are well prepared, for them it is a good news, and those who are not well prepared, for them it is a bad news. But I am fully against one of the points suggested by the national education policy, which says that multiple entry and exit points. They say that a candidate after 1 year, if he wants to leave, we let him leave, he will be given a certificate. And if a candidate leaves after 2 years, we will give a diploma certificate. And after 3 years, a bachelor's. And after 4 years, bachelor's with honors. So my question is, where are the jobs for students who are leaving after 1 year? Now we are struggling to get the placement for students who pursue 4 years of engineering. So this is not apt for our countries. It is much suited for the US and the European countries, where jobs are available in plenty at different levels. So here, as last week we have seen that in the Telangana government, it has come in newspaper that for the attendant job, 17 candidates with PhD have applied. For 3,000 attenders job, 7 lakhs people applied, and among that, 17 PhD holders have applied for the attender job in the government. So when that is the case, so where will be the job for people who are passing out after 1 year, 2 years? So the industry is not taken into confidence before this has been included in the national education policies. Maybe this they would have done to allow the foreign universities to come forward, because foreign universities operate in this structure, because their jobs are available at different levels. That's fine there, but in India still it is difficult. And in the days to come, the challenge for us is foreign universities will come and open their shops in India, and where the best of the faculties and the best of the students will go there. That's a big challenge. So finally, my submission to all the faculties, the facilitators, what is our role? So our role is we need to maintain the highest order of academic standards and quality without compromise. And we need to encourage context-based, case study-based, game-based learning process to our students, not this regular classroom training. No, we need to come out of that and make learning very interesting for our students. And we need to incorporate adequate life skills for employability. When we say life skills, all our moral, ethical values, integrity comes into picture here. Encourage students to deal with real world problems. Let them see, for example, students are not here. If otherwise, from the placement department, we would have planned for a discussion on students and how to solve the farmers' issue. Farmers are protesting. How to solve? See, students will come out with different views. Whether it is right or wrong, that is different. But they will think towards developing a solution for the problem. So we need to encourage students to deal with real world problems, and we need to maintain continuous and quality evaluation system in our education system. We need to impart domain skills with application avenues. All technology-based subjects should be taught with application. Without that, it just remain as a knowledge, and no company will recruit students based on the knowledge. As I said, a complete competency is required. And I encourage institutions to come out with the proposal to give the placement training from the first semester onwards. Progressively, you can enhance the training until the student reaches the final year. And the faculties during the college, while you handle the class, we need to converse in corporate language. Some of the words they used in the corporate world, we need to have a touch with them, and that words we need to use in the classroom. Then student finds it very relevant. Otherwise, student feels that there's a huge gap between what has been delivered in the classroom and what they see outside world. And this 30-70, again, I want to insist, somehow we have to handle this. And we need to, every facilitator, faculty must be aware that the students whom we are handling today in the classroom, they will have to make a successful career for next 25 to 30 years. That we should keep in mind. To that extent, we need to equip them. And the other interesting is the fifth point, the current batch of students passing out must have higher skills and awareness compared to the preceding batch. What we do as faculties, the students who have passed out last year and students who are passing out this year, if we compare their competencies and skills, both will be same. Both the batches will be same. No, every new passing out batch must have a value addition more than the preceding batch. If that is happening, we are doing justice to our job. Otherwise, if we are sending the batch out of batch by batch with the same set of skills, outside world, industry will not accept that. And we need to foster self-discipline, risk-taking at the early stage of professional education. And institutions are asked to have a partnership with other premier institutions, R&D centers, and corporate types. Just a small thought, if an egg is broken from an outside force, life ends. And if the same egg is broken by an inside force, life begins. So great things happen from the inside. So whatever others have said, whatever somebody is presenting, that will not make a sense unless I make a serious effort to do an inward journey and find out where I stand and what I need to do. Unless that essence creeps into our my system, everything becomes outside. So self-motivation is important. A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new, Albert Einstein. To improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often. As facilitators, it would be apt for us if we acquire this skill. And we are in the industry 5.0. You all know that it is in the public domain, and we need to prepare the students towards that industry 5.0. So we are in the education 4.0, where we need to empower our students so that they can produce innovation. Earlier, we were equipping the students to consume what we teach and produce knowledge. Now, the education 4.0 tells us that we need to produce the workforce that in turn produce innovation and creativity into the world. It tells the same thing, that we need a smart learning system because students have to operate in a smart world. So we need to be smarter as facilitators. So education 4.0 has many application perspectives. Things will change, the way people live, the way the industry operates, everything will undergo a sea change at the end of the industry 4.0. So this is what some students have said. The education system is still based on preparing children to join the industry age. That is industry 1.0. So we have to prepare the children for the industry 5.0. But the current system that we are into, most of us, I think we have also transformed in the last 5 to 6 years. The educational institutions have also transformed, but most in the schools and other places, the teaching happens, the education system focuses on the first version itself, that is industry 1.0, where we were training students for industry age. There are two things, one side we have teachers, the other side we have learners. And for teachers, for you and me, teaching is not an option. It is a mandate. We have accepted this profession and we have to be the producers of knowledge. And for learner students, for them to learn is not an option. It is a mandate. It is mandatory that they should learn. Because as teachers, we have agreed to teach. As learners, they have agreed to learn. So when both these parties come together, there starts the successful journey of the education. Because these two entities to come and join hands, only then they can make wonders. If you see any country or any organization, any university in the world that has succeeded, these two things are merged together. The teaching community and the learning community, supported by a very effective management ecosystem. A child is telling, if you can't learn the way you teach, will you teach me the way I can learn? That's the question. As a facilitator, we need to keep this in mind every time we go to the classroom or every time we handle class online. First, we need to go through this. Imagine that a child asks us like this, if I cannot learn the way you teach, will you teach me the way I can learn? So you and I have to answer. We are responsible for this. So man is becoming machine and machine is becoming man. Technology is becoming organic, nature is becoming technology. As facilitators, we have to be aware of these developments. And final concluding remark is this: education must lead to enlightenment. Enlightenment must give rise to empowerment. And empowerment must result in radical transformation. When I say radical transformation, a complete change in a person's personality, the way we think, act, presume. So this can only happen when a person is trained with appropriate moral, ethical, professional skills and virtues, and the virtues of integrity, the components of integrity. Only then we can see a positive change in the society. So let's all of us do our part effectively to realize the above purpose of the true education system. And with this, I would like to thank once again the organizers for this FDP for giving me the opportunity to address you all. And if you have any questions and concerns, I would request Mr. Sarvesh to consolidate that and post to me. I would make an attempt to address those questions. Thank you.
So as of now, there were no questions.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, sir.
So
Sir,
we exceeded time.
Sir?
We are on time or we have exceeded?
It's correct. Still we are in time, sir. It is correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sir, you can stop sharing the screen. It was a very informative session, sir, and it is thought-provoking session also. I personally liked that the contrasting priorities of academia, students, and industry. What academia is expecting what students are, how students are behaving, and what industry is expecting. It is very thought-provoking session, sir. I really thank you on behalf of management of SVC and Department of Mechatronics, SVC, on my own behalf for accepting our invitation to be a resource person and delivering a talk on equipping 21st century workforce on campus, the role of facilitators. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful session. We enjoyed your session a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure, sir. My pleasure. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you. Sir.